Not Loose. Monday on Loose Women.
Welcome back to Friday's Loose Women Live. Forget sporty, posh, scary baby and Ginger. Keeping you company this lunchtime. You don't want to see the state of her drawers. It's Messy Spice, Nadia Sawala. She hasn't shaved her legs since 1996. It's Hairy Spice, Stacey Solomon. She's naughty and spiced with a dash of hot sauce. It's Judy Love. And me, Old Spice Kay Adams. We'll be talking to the real Spice Girl, Mel C, in just a moment. And at 1:15, there's a rumble in the jungle. And this time, it's not his stomach. I'm a celebrity runner-up. Owen Warner will be here for a jungle debrief. And we do have some bolognese in case you're still hungry, Owen. There he is. Yeah. He's chomping through that. Now, it's been 26 years since the Spice Girls high-kicked into our lives with their debut single, Wannabe. They put girl power on the map and defined 90s pop music. As she releases her first autobiography, Mel C joins us to share her amazing life story and tell us what it was really like to be Sporty Spice in one of the world's most iconic girl groups.
If you want to be my lover, you gotta get with my friends. Stop right now. Thank you very much. I need somebody with a human touch. I want a man, not a boy who thinks he can. I'm giving you everything, all that joy, yes, I swear. I turn to you like a flower leading toward the sun. Things just feel so wrong.
Please welcome Mel C. Oh, God, that took us back to such a good place watching that.
Oh, it's so nice, isn't it?
Did it take you back to a good place?
You know what? It does. I think when I look back over those moments, it's all the fun stuff I remember. And I was so conscious doing the book because obviously everybody's life is so full of different things. I didn't, you know, there were dark times, but I didn't want to dwell on it too much. It was important to go there, but I didn't want to forget how much we need to celebrate the good stuff.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the book is Who I Am, and I know it wasn't a casual decision for you to write your autobiography, was it?
No, it took a
Why
long time. You know, I think I spent many, many years feeling quite scared to go back to some of those times. And in my head, I've always seen an autobiography by somebody like myself as maybe a bit tabloidy, a bit salacious, and I've had a pretty rough ride with the tabloid media, so it made me nervous. But then I was on stage with the Spice Girls, 2019, we did stadium shows, and it was such an incredible moment. And I think for all of us girls, we just looked out and we realised the impact we'd had, you know, on this generation of people. There was young people there who were just discovering us for the first time. And I just started to reflect really differently. And I was scared of becoming Sporty Spice, but then I was like, I don't become her, I am her. It's in here, she's always here. So I just started to accept all these different aspects of myself. And it inspired the album I released in 2020. And then it just felt natural for the book to come at that point.
I think it's so exciting to hear your version of events as well, because like we all just said, we watch those videos and for us it's rose-tinted goggles. Every single moment of what was broadcasted brings back nostalgia, memories, things that make us happy. Whereas for you, that would have been a totally different experience, and especially at that time, for women in the music industry, for contract, like all of the pressures that you would have been under back then. It's so important, I think, for us to hear about.
Yeah, absolutely. And, you know, we can't take anything away. You know, what the Spice Girls, what we achieved, it was incredible. You know, we broke barriers. I think we kind of opened doors. Yeah, kind of, was so naively, you know, we were blazing this trail. And it was really because of the experiences we were having in the music industry. We were you know, we were faced with sexism really early on. You know, told that girl bands don't sell. We couldn't be on the front cover of magazines because they wouldn't sell like the boy bands would. And that put fire in our bellies. And thank goodness for that, because it meant we had a platform then. We went out there and we changed things.
That's
You
what girl
did.
power
I
came
loved all that. We were
Funny.
talking about that, weren't we, when I was reading that in the book, and it's like the way that you just pushed against everything, and this every single thing. You fought for it, actually, didn't you? I mean, the fact they wanted you all dressed identically, I loved all those stories. All the sliding door moments that you had where you just nearly all missed it. It was so destined. I love the way that you said you always had this feeling, like when you first saw the audition, the advert for the audition, you just had a feeling about it, didn't you? You knew this was going to be something big.
Do you know what's funny? Because you're talking about this right now.
Yeah.
So we have a friend in common.
Yes, we do.
And our friend Rachel,
Yeah.
lovely Rachel, who's in Ibiza.
Yeah.
She was my best friend at college.
Yeah.
She's still one of my best friends. And we were together the day at Danceworks. We were auditioning for, I think, a cruise, and I was handed the flyer.
Yeah.
And she is the person I turned to and I said, that's it. That's what I'm going to do.
Oh no, I've got
The
goosebumps
audition.
when I read that. Then you got ill and you couldn't go for
Yeah.
the second audition, and it feels as you read the book that the stars were just aligning. And
But it
was
went
gonna
back
happen.
further than that, didn't it? Because sitting in school with your jolter,
Yeah.
you were writing, Melanie Chisholm is going to be a superstar.
Yeah,
You had that there,
I
didn't
love
you?
that.
I really don't see myself as a precocious child. It doesn't sound like that, does it? You know what? I discovered performing really early in my life. You know, like many people do. And for me, it was escape. You know, I had a wonderful home, but my mum and dad did divorce when I was young. And it just put me in this place. I'm an only child of my mum and dad. They've gone on to remarry and have families. So sometimes I felt quite isolated. And sometimes I felt a bit of a burden. So being on stage or being in dance class, that kind of gave me my space in the world.
But also through the book and through your experience, that loneliness comes back quite often, doesn't it? And that imposter syndrome.
Yeah.
I found it so sad. The story you talked about as a young girl when you had a fight with somebody and you went home and you wanted to get stronger and you wanted to build muscle. I loved that. And then this awful thing that this person said to you about your thighs, this one sentence, and that triggered years of you then dealing with an eating disorder, which you've spoken about. Wow.
Yeah, no, it was tricky. It was really early on in the Spice Girls journey, and somebody within the industry commented, I did a backflip, and they said, oh, I'm surprised you can do a backflip with thighs like that.
Oh, my God.
And I'd been to Performing Arts College. I'd spent hours and hours looking in a mirror, like being criticising myself. But I never had any body image issues at that point. You know, I was young, I was fit. You know, I was kind of what we would deem as slim, you know. But at that point, I think because what I was embarking on with the Spice Girls was so important to me that the thought I didn't look right was so, like, terrifying to me.
Which I suppose would have played into the imposter syndrome. This is how I could lose this.
Yeah,
Right.
absolutely. Like, do I deserve this? Am I right to be doing this? And is it going to work for me? So that started me, you know, just kind of eliminating food groups, cutting down. It started quite innocently.
Yeah.
And then I think there was other catalysts along the way. You know, being in the media, being photographed constantly, you know.
in general.
Yeah.
Having some control over your life, I think that's what can happen.
that's
I can
another
control
thing.
this.
Yeah.
I can't control all that.
There was also a moment you documented in the book, you had a bit of a fallout, I don't know, an exchange of words with, I think it was Victoria, I'm not sure, and you immediately went to the place that, oh my God, that's it, I've blown it, I'm out.
Sorry, I'm grinning because it is quite a funny story, but the consequences weren't that funny. So, yeah, we were at the Brits in 1996 and nobody knew us at this point. We didn't release Wannabe until the summer of that year. So February-ish, 96, we go to the Brits, we have a little bit of champagne. And as we're leaving, there's a little kerfuffle between me and Victoria. Nothing major, but I tell her where to go. And... and the next day, you know, it was a huge issue. And I understand why, because, you know, we were entering into this world where we had to stick together. You know, we had to support each other, So, like, anything like that was just not a good thing to do.
But isn't that annoying? Because also you were a group of women were doing things your own way, and that's nothing what happened, and yet you were brought into line.
Yeah.
You can be these wild things. It's working really well for us, but can you actually really do as you're told as well? That must have been so difficult working.
There's dynamics, isn't there?
Yeah.
You know, with anything, with friendship groups, with colleagues, you know, within bands, it's like
But
that.
I think it's so normal, isn't it, to love your friends and hate them sometimes as well. Like, that is a normal thing.
But it's the people you're closest to, isn't it, that you show your true colours to, because you know you can, because they're still going to love you anyway.
Are you, please tell me, are you going to do a reunion, another one?
I hope so.
Oh, so do we.
I hope so. I hope so.
Jerry's 50th was so excited.
How good was that?
Into what could be.
But we feel so bad because Mel B couldn't make it.
Oh.
So we were all there having the best time on the dance floor, and then Mel's like that. Looked like you were having fun.
Well, listen, that's given hope. That's definitely given
There's so
hope.
many
You
good
hope
stories
so.
in the book. I love the book.
Yeah,
Oh, thank you.
absolutely. Melanie C, Who I Am. Mel, thanks so much for coming in.
Thank
today.
you.
Don't go anywhere, because I'm the Celebrity's own Warner is going to be right here after the break.